Merhaba arkadaşlar, hepiniz Eğitim Talks webinarlarına hoş geldiniz. Bugün eğitim ve kariyer planlarınıza tecrübesiyle rehberlik edecek University of Arkansas'dan Leah ve Carl bizlerle olacak. Lütfen sorularınızı sağ alt köşede Questions bölümünden yönlendirmeyi unutmayın. Yeah, the stage is yours now.
Good afternoon or almost evening. We are here in Arkansas. It is, as you can see on Carl's clock, it is 7 in the morning, and it's nice to meet you. My name is Leah Bergman-Lanier, and I am the Executive Director of the Intensive English Language Program called Spring International Language Center at the University of Arkansas. And this is my colleague, Carl Anderson. He is the Assistant Director for International Admissions and Recruitment.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good evening.
Yeah. It's always our pleasure to come to Turkey, even if it's through the screen. I hope that the next time I'm speaking to you, I will be there. I travel a lot for work, and people always ask me, where is my favorite place? And I think I most of the time say one of my favorite places to travel is Turkey. I always want to go somewhere new. It's a beautiful country. And I have had excellent students from Turkey. And so it's a nice combination. So what we're going to do is talk to you about the University of Arkansas a little bit, about the admissions process, about the requirements, and to answer any questions that you have. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat. We love questions. The first thing we wanted to do is show you our campus a little bit. And so Zainab, would you like to show them? This is just a very quick video that gives you an idea of our campus. I'm from California. I've traveled around the US, and I think that this is one of the most beautiful campuses in the country. Welcome back. I came to the University of Arkansas 30 years ago, and I came here only for a weekend to help with a project, and I never left. I came back 6 months later, and it's just an amazing place to live. And what students like about it is that it's a small, intimate college town, and the people are friendly here, and it's a wonderful place to live. It has a reasonable cost of living. And if you compare the tuition and fees here compared to the East and West Coasts and bigger towns, of course, we are less expensive. So all of those things together make it a great place to live and study. And we hope we're going to be able to answer some of your questions. So let me get my slideshow moving. Hello. Uh-oh. Can you take down the... Thank you. All right. Uh-oh. It's not moving. There it is. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today is how to study in the U.S. particularly. And one thing I'd like to tell you before we begin is, I'm sorry, my slideshow is not working. Okay. So one of the things I'd like to talk to you about is, in order to go to an American university, you all know these things, but one of the things you want to do is first be sure that the university has what you would like to study. And we are what is called a land grant university, and we serve the state of Arkansas and the surrounding states. We have programs in the sciences, in gen engineering, in all of the engineerings, in agriculture and law and agricultural law. So once you think about what it is you want to study, then one of the first things you'd like to do is look at the course of study. The second thing that's very important is you need to be sure that you have enough English. And at the University of Arkansas, you are required to have a 79 on the IBT TOEFL or a 6.5 on the IELTS exam. If you don't have that, you can still be admitted. And what we call that is you make your application and you submit all of your grades and transcripts. If you are going as an undergraduate, you submit your high school grades. If you are going for a master's or a PhD, you submit your transcripts, and the university will evaluate you and say, oh, this person has the financial strength to go here. This person has the academic strength and meets our standards, but this person doesn't have enough English. So we will give them what we call a conditional admission. And that allows us to prepare you at Spring International Language Center. We are on the campus, and we have 7 proficiency levels. And we have very strong academic programs at the university. As I said earlier, it's a great place to live with a low cost of living and low tuition and fees. So that you want your goals to be met. These are all students of mine that started in English and then ended up going to the university and getting masters and PhDs. And they are, this group of people, they are from Iraq, from Vietnam, from Korea, from Saudi Arabia, from Japan, from this guy back here is from Turkey. So at the intensive English language program, which is right behind here, you see this big tall building here. We are across the street from that. We have strong student support services. And as I mentioned earlier, I think it's a very friendly campus. And here is the key here. You can be admitted without a TOEFL score and study English so that you have a very smooth pathway into the university. It kind of gives you a little bit of time to get used to being on campus. And you are just like any other student. In the English program, we have one student to 8, an average of 8 or 10 students. And as I mentioned earlier, it's just a great place to live. We have a very interesting weather system, which, like most of the world right now, is a little bit unpredictable. And climate change is affecting us. We had very warm weather last week, and then we had snow. So you never know what the climate will be. So when you're choosing an English language program, we have students who do English here and go to other universities. We have students who do English here and then go to the university. This is the university library right here, right? And people come to our English program for professional reasons, for personal reasons, to find a better job, but primarily for academic reasons to be able to enter the University of Arkansas. And you can enter by applying to the university and receiving a conditional admission, or you can come and study English, and while you are here, we can help you to do your application. So when a person makes a conditional admission to the University of Arkansas, which I was talking about, you meet the academic and financial requirements. Then all you have to do is come and study English. Now, you may say, well, how long do I have to study English? Well, that depends, right? Because you can see in the English program, we have 7 levels. From basic, this is from almost no English to ready for graduate school. And when you make your application to the university, if you meet the English requirement with, let's go back here and see this, say 91 on the IBT or a 6.5, actually that should be 79. And 550. So depending upon your scores, you can be admitted and go straight to the university. Meet the English requirement, go straight into the University of Arkansas. If you don't, then we will give you a test. And maybe you will place in level 2, or maybe you will place in level 4, or maybe you will take the test and place in level 5. And each of these levels is 9 weeks. So if you start here at the bottom, at the very beginner, this will take you 1.5 years. If you come here at level 4, this will take you 7 or 8 months. If you are in the top levels, it will take you 3 months. So, and then you go into the university and you do not have to take the TOEFL again. You don't have to take it at all. You can even apply to the university with no TOEFL. Now, the application process is, Carl's going to talk about a little bit, but again, this is what you want to do if you are interested in moving forward into the University of Arkansas. In the English language program, we have classes 20, these are the proficiency levels again, from beginning to advanced. And you want to be in English and go quickly, we have classes 25 hours a week. And we have, going back here. Hello. Each of these is 9 weeks. So we have 5 9-week terms a year and 25 hours a week. Now, we study hard. We also play hard. So in the English language program, you get academic instruction, 25 hours a week, and we do a lot of cross-cultural work. So we have conversation partners with American students. In the English language program, we have students from all over the world. Right now, we have students from 26 countries. And so you get to participate in a global experience. You know, you think you're coming to the United States to, meet Americans, but in fact, you will meet the world here. And we have lots of student services and activities. Yesterday, the students went ice skating, and on the weekend, there was another group of students went together to the movies. And last week, they went to a basketball game. And so we do lots of different things in the program. And we also do individualized support. We have a help desk. If you have a question, you can go to the help desk at any time. And I mentioned that we have conversation partners with Americans. And in the language program and all over campus are computer labs. And if you are interested in studying for the TOEFL, which you don't have to, you can go from the English program into the university with good grades from the English program. But if you want to pass the TOEFL, we have TOEFL workshops several hours a week. These are some of the activities we know. You can see back here, this was a park, and we had a picnic, and you can see how many places from Vietnam, Brazil, from Nigeria. I like to think of Spring International as a home away from home. I mentioned conversation partners. We also have student government. So if you're interested in leadership training, you can run for student council, and each of the levels elects a representative to be on the student council, and they help us decide what kinds of activities we do and whether or not we have soccer games. And what you want in an English program is strong student services. You want support so that you get picked up from the airport and your housing is ready for you, and that you can make a smooth transition into a new culture and a new community. And that's a big part of what we do, especially if you're planning on getting a bachelor's or a master's or a PhD at the university. Having that smooth transition is very, very helpful. If you can see here all these names, if you graduate from the University of Arkansas, your name will be on this, maybe not here, but all over the campus. You can find the year you graduated and your name. It's called Senior Walk. And when we did this, it was 8 kilometers long, but I think it's closer to 9 or 10 now, probably. And there are names from all over the world. And it says next to your name here, this person, Natalie, got a Master's of Science. And this person here got a law degree. And you can see next to their name, it says whether it's a bachelor's or master's or a PhD. It's a very unique thing. I believe, Carl, are we the only campus in the nation that has that?
Yes, at least that we're aware of.
Yeah. And there are people's names from 1871 when the university opened. And it opened in this building right here, called Old Main. There you go.
All right.
Thank you to Carl. And again, please feel free to ask questions in the chat, or even if you need. I can't see your hands raised, but.
Yeah, I've answered a couple of questions already that have come through.
All right, I'll look in the,
but,
I'll keep my eye on the chat.
Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Carl, and as Leah mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, I'm the Assistant Director for International Student Recruitment here at the university. And I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking a little bit about the University of Arkansas and our specific admission requirements. I like the fact that Leah just talked about the senior walk, because to me that kind of represents the ultimate goal for all of our students coming here to study. Not necessarily having your name literally carved into the sidewalk, although that is very nice, and you can come back, 10, 20 years after you graduate and show your family your name in the sidewalk and talk to them about your time here. But the reason I like to start with that slide and kind of talk about that first is because to me it represents what students come here for, and that is to earn their degree, whether that's a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, a PhD degree. And so those names on the sidewalk really represent all of the students that have come before, but then also it allows students to literally leave their mark on our campus to show that they came, they accomplished their goals, they worked hard, and they left their mark at the end. And so, yeah, it's over 8 kilometers long now, and it's over 170,000 names. I think actually there's about 270,000 names. Some of those are duplicates. So if you come and earn your bachelor's degree, you have your name placed. If you then stay and earn a master's degree, you'll have your name placed again. So you could theoretically have your name 3 different times on the sidewalk, but there's just over 170,000, I guess, unique names or individual names on our sidewalk.
I might add here that Spring International has been at the University of Arkansas for 30 years, and we have had more than 7,000 students go through our doors, and over half of them have gotten a minimum of 1 degree, but many of them two degrees here at the university. And very few of them with a TOEFL. Most of them just went through without it. So, because the university knows we prepare you to be able to do academic reading and writing, and you will serve all of our. We've not had a student not graduate that I know of.
So we are a large public university. As Leah mentioned, we're a land-grant institution here in the United States. And we have about 29,500 students studying with us from all 50 states in the country, and right around 112 different countries. We have almost 1,200 international students studying here with us. Oh, the presentation went away, Leah. PowerPoint.
Is it there? It's gone?
It's gone. I can pull it up here.
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
You back?
It's coming. Yep.
Okay.
There it is.
Yeah.
So we have almost 1,200 international students studying here with us from about 112 different countries. And we like to consider ourselves the home of Fulbright. So J. William Fulbright was our campus president for 2 years. And then he went on to become a state representative for the state of Arkansas here in the state legislature. And then he went on and became a U.S. United States.
He was actually the governor.
He was the governor as well for Arkansas, and then he went on and became a U.S. representative representing the state of Arkansas. And while he was in that capacity in Washington, D.C., he created the Fulbright Scholar Program, which is still in existence today. And this program works to bring international students from around the world to come here to the U.S. to study, but it also works to send U.S. students abroad to obtain their degrees as well. And J. William Fulbright believed in peace through education. And so we like to call ourselves the home of Fulbright because of his legacy here, working to try to bring peace through international education and exchange. You want to go back one slide, Leah, please? I've already talked a little bit about the university, and actually this should read 29,500 students. We are primarily an undergraduate institution, meaning that most of our students are here pursuing a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree, although we do have just over 4,000 students studying with us currently, pursuing a master's degree, PhD degrees. Some students are also pursuing a short-term graduate certificate program as well.
And if you are interested in a graduate program, you might be interested to know that we are one of 160 programs out of close to how many universities around the U.S. that are Research One, Carnegie institution.
Yeah, we're ranked as a very high research intensive university. And so for our graduate students, particularly our PhD students, that's very important because it means opportunity to conduct research, engage in research opportunities here at the university with your professor, with your major professor or advisor. And in fact, we were just reclassified, I guess you will. I just saw it this morning in our newswire that we were reclassified again, or recertified, I guess, as the highest level of research activity in the U.S. So that's by the Carnegie Foundation. Because we are a large, I lost it again. Because we are a large public institution, we have over 200 academic programs to choose from at the undergraduate and graduate level. And our faculty to student ratio is 1 to 9.
Can you see me? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. Yep.
Okay.
Our faculty to student ratio is 1 to 19. And so even though we are a large university, we're able to maintain a very small faculty to student ratio. And that's important because it means that you'll have you'll be able to have conversations and get to know not only your fellow students, but also your faculty, the professors in your classes. You'll be able to develop those personal relationships that can become important to you as you work through your journey, whether it's again pursuing a bachelor's degree or a graduate level degree. Next slide, please, Leah. One of the things that we like to do here at the university is, you're coming here to pursue your academics, and that's kind of your primary focus. You want to study hard and do well. But we also encourage our students to become involved with campus activities to develop what I call your soft skills outside of the classroom. So your leadership skills, your communication skills. And one of the ways that we encourage students to do this is to join one of our registered student organizations. We have about 400 registered student organizations here on campus. Many of those are international student organizations. And a lot of those organizations exist to kind of share the culture of their country. They do that through food festivals, through cultural fairs, through other activities here on campus. But there's also a large number of academic organizations on campus, sport organizations on campus. So we encourage students to get involved in one or more of these organizations. You can become the treasurer or the vice president or the president of one of these organizations. And again, they allow you to meet people and make those friendships and those connections, but they also allow you to develop your soft skills. The university really is very intentional about trying to connect students to opportunities here on campus to become part of the community and become connected with the students and faculty and staff that are here on campus. Next slide, please, Leah.
It's not moving smoothly, sorry.
There we go. So we also want to make sure that our students, our international students, have the resources here on campus that they need to be successful towards earning their degree. We want to make sure that you have academic resources, health resources, mental health resources. We want to make sure that when you arrive on campus prior to beginning your classes that you go through a week-long new student orientation to introduce you to the campus, to introduce you to some of your faculty, to allow you to begin meeting people and making friends. And so our International Students and Scholars Office, the ISS office, in addition to assisting you with immigration issues, helping you to maintain your visa status, they also do a lot of student programming, including the new student orientation. We want to make sure that on that first day of class that you are ready to go, that you've already made some friends, you've started to form that community, you've got all the supplies you need for your residence hall or your apartment. You know where your classes are going to be, and that's what that new student orientation will do for you. We've already mentioned the Spring International Language Center. Leah's talked a lot about that. Our Holcomb Living Learning Community is one of about, I think we have about 15 different residence halls on campus right now. And the Holcomb Living Learning Community is a very intentional living community where it's about half of the residents are domestic students and half are international students. And it's a very intentional environment where those students are brought together to learn from one another, to learn about the different cultures, etc. And then we also have our Class Plus academic support services. This is where most of our academic resources are housed. The Quality Writing Center, our Math Tutoring Center, the Enhanced Learning Center. Essentially, if you're having, especially as an undergraduate student, issues in any subject matter, you can come to the Class Plus Center and work with a tutor, someone that can, assist you in helping you to kind of move through the challenges you're facing. As graduate students, you will also have resources available to you directly through your academic program, through your graduate program. They will make sure that you have access to the academic support services that you need. We also have the Pat Walker Health Center here on campus for your health needs. Mental health counseling is available. Again, we want to make sure that students have all of the resources, academic and personal, to help you to succeed here as a student to earn that degree. Next slide, please, Leah. So I'm going to go through now the undergraduate and graduate application process. I will preface this by saying it's easy for me to go through these items, but I know that a lot of times students will have specific questions, and so please don't hesitate to either type those in the chat box, or at the end of this we'll make our emails available so you can also email us with any questions you might have. But whether you're applying as an undergraduate or graduate student, and as Leah mentioned earlier, especially for graduate students, it's always important to reach out early to the programs that you're interested in, to touch base with the graduate program coordinator, and I can help you do that. If you reach out to me and let me know, what graduate level, what program, I can connect you to that individual. By doing so, you learn more about what the specific program is looking for in a successful candidate, specific GRE score requirements, specific requirements for statement of purpose or research statement, but it also just helps for you to get to know the program and vice versa. And so I do encourage you to reach out and learn more about the programs. But whether you're applying as an undergraduate or graduate student, you'll submit an online application and a $60 application fee. You will also submit official English proficiency test scores. It could be a TOEFL, an IELTS, a PTEA. Those are kind of the three most common tests that we see. And you can see there the minimum requirements, 79 for the TOEFL, 6.5 for IELTS. The PTEA, the Peterson test, is 58. Undergraduate students will need to submit SAT or ACT scores. Now, we do not use those test scores for purposes of admission at the undergraduate level. What they are used for is course level placement. If you intend to apply for scholarships, though, for freshman level scholarships, which I'll mention briefly here in a moment, you do need to submit SAT or ACT scores. They will be used specifically to evaluate you for scholarship consideration. For graduate students, master's, PhD students, you'll need to submit GRE scores. And for master's students and PhD students, the GRE score requirements typically will vary from program to program. So that's another reason to reach out to the graduate program you're interested in applying into so that you can learn what their specific score requirements may be. For graduate students as well, you'll typically need to submit up to 3 letters of recommendation. Most programs will require 3 letters. And then some sort of personal statement or personal essay. At the PhD level, the doctorate level, this will often be a research statement focusing on your specific research problem and what you're wanting to pursue as a PhD student in terms of your research focus. And then for graduate students, we also would recommend submitting a graduate assistantship application. GA positions are how most of our graduate students will fund their programs of study, at least in part. And just briefly, a GA position is typically 20 hours a week. It's typically either a research-based or teaching-based position where you're partnered with a faculty member within your program. And in return for those 20 hours a week, your tuition is paid for. You receive a monthly cost of living stipend for rent, utilities, basic cost of living expenses. And then you also will receive up to a 60%, the program will pay up to 60% of your student health insurance as well. Now for undergraduate students, there are scholarships available. You can apply for them at the same time that you're applying for admission into the university. Those scholarships are typically partial in nature. There are a handful of full scholarships available, but the scholarship committee here on campus will look at your incoming SAT or ACT scores, your incoming grade point average, and also you'll be asked to write a personal essay for scholarship consideration as well. The minimum GPA requirement is 3.0 on the US 4.0 scale. There's a question about what happens if you have a slightly lower grade point average requirement. So at the graduate level, master's, PhD, what I always recommend that you do is talk with the program coordinator first. Let them know, the circumstances surrounding your lower GPA. Sometimes, especially right now with COVID, we know that there's been a lot of additional challenges that students have faced, and sometimes that has affected your GPA. But it's important to work with the program because they can select to review your application, and oftentimes in situations where you have a slightly lower GPA, they'll put added emphasis on the GRE or the GMAT, letters of recommendation, that sort of thing. For undergraduate students, it's similar. If you have a slightly lower than 3.0 GPA, oftentimes the admissions team will agree to look and place more emphasis on your SAT or ACT score. So if you have a slightly lower GPA, don't give up. Contact me, and I can give you advice in terms of who to talk to find out how that may be reviewed or viewed. Leah?
Yeah, it's very important also for you to understand that when people are looking at your transcripts, what you calculate as your grade point average in Turkey may be a 2.6, and it needs to be a 3 on our system. But when we look and we see where you studied in Turkey, and we know that nobody gets A's at that institution, that's so rare that they make exceptions because we have this big book. And when we evaluate a transcript, we say, oh, this person went to this school in this country. And here's what equals our 3.0. And it may be lower in your system. So what you want to be able to do is ask those questions. How would your transcript be evaluated for our system rather than only calculating it within your system? Does that make sense? So there are equivalencies. And we know that it's very hard to get A's in Turkey. That most of the institutions, if you're a B student, you're excellent, right? So all of those kinds of things are factors, and that's why Carl said, if you're not sure what your grade point average, your GPA is, you may want to write to us ahead of time. The other thing I would like to say is that whether you are applying for the graduate school or undergrad, in Turkey, when you make an application, you have to have all your documents ready at that moment. The system here doesn't work like that. So if you're interested in applying here, you could go today and fill out the online application for grad or undergrad. And that just opens up a file for you. And you will receive an email that says, we still need the following things. But you immediately have a file and a place to begin. So don't be shy about opening an application. And we will begin to say, oh, now you need to submit these things and help you through the process. You don't have to wait till you have all the documents, because especially if you want a scholarship or you're interested in getting special funding, you need to get your application in early. So all of those are factors in terms of how you apply. The system is similar at every university in the United States, but most people from other countries think they have to have every single document ready. If you have 7 out of 10 documents, open your file.
And this is why I said too that, you know, it's easy for me to talk about the application process and to have you list or see, you know, everything that is required. But again, we realize that it is a lot more complicated than it appears often. And so please don't hesitate to reach out to me. And I can walk you through the process. And like Leah said, you don't have to submit everything all at once. So anyway, please let us know and we'll be happy to help. Next slide, please, Leah.
Come on, move. There it is.
So these are the application deadlines. It's important to note that for graduate students, you may have application deadlines that differ from the June 1st, October 1st, and March 1st dates, because oftentimes the graduate programs will have their own earlier deadlines, especially if you're looking for funding. But June 1st is the general application deadline for fall, October 1st for spring, and then March 1st for the summer term or the summer session. But again, if you're a graduate student, you know, please reach out to me. Let me know which program you're interested in, and I can connect you to the program coordinator so that you can find out specifically what their deadline may be. And I want to point out too that if you are an undergraduate student and you submit an application, say after June 1st for the fall semester, it doesn't mean that your application won't be reviewed. What it means is that by the time it is reviewed and an admissions decision is made, there may not be time left for you to get everything together to go and interview for your visa and to get that taken care of. And so if that does happen, what we can do is we can defer your admission up to 1 semester. So if you apply for fall semester, we can defer it to the spring semester. So try to get everything in by these deadlines, but if you miss them by, especially a day or two, that's not a huge concern. Leah, next slide, please. So the last couple of slides are going to deal with just Fayetteville, Arkansas, where the university is located. You already saw the video at the beginning of the presentation. Hopefully that gave you an idea of what the area looks like, both Fayetteville, but the surrounding area as well. Fayetteville has a population of a little over 80,000 people. Washington County, where Fayetteville is located, has actually at this point about closer to 300,000 individuals. Northwest Arkansas, where we're located in the northwest corner of the state, has over 500,000 population. So we are a growing metro area, but Fayetteville still maintains that traditional college town feel. It really does.
And it's safe.
Yes.
I think that everybody should know that. It's a safe place to live.
It is a very safe place. The university and the community of Fayetteville have a very close relationship, meaning we call it the town gown relationship. And what that means is they're supportive of one another. And so it is a very safe community, a very welcoming community, and a very easy community to get around in as well. We're located in the Ozark Mountains, which means we have, for individuals that love outdoor activities, hiking, biking, canoeing, just being outdoors in nature. It's a wonderful area for that. We have the Buffalo National River, which was the first nationally designated river in the US, just about 45 minutes away from us. And we actually have a fairly mild climate. On average, we have about 218 days of sunshine per year. Usually this time of year, our average temperature is about 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. We do get snow sometimes. In fact, we had some snow, I guess it was a week ago, almost 2 weeks ago now, but it usually doesn't last long, doesn't stay long. But it can get cold here at times, and we do have snow. So, some of our students find that exciting. Next slide, please, Leah. One thing to mention too is we have the Walmart World headquarters located about 20 minutes away from the university. And because of that, we also have about 350 of the world's Fortune 500 businesses located here in Northwest Arkansas. And so, especially for our business students, engineering students, but really all of our students, there's a lot of opportunities for internships, co-op opportunities, and other networking opportunities with some of the world's largest, most successful companies. And because of Walmart, largely because of Walmart at least, we also have a very nice national airport that has daily flights to destinations all over the US. And so in between classes, during your breaks, you can get out and explore Chicago, Los Angeles, Washington, DC, Houston, Dallas, Atlanta, San Francisco, you name it. It's very easy to get out and explore the country. Or you can drive as well. We're within a 5-hour drive from Dallas, 3-hour drive from Kansas City, 5-hour drive from Memphis, 4 hours, now about 5 hours from St. Louis. So we're located in a very nice area to be able to get out and explore the US, which we encourage you to do too while you're here. So these pictures here are just a couple of final pictures to leave you with. The one on your left is Old Main. That's the oldest building on campus. Leah mentioned that at the beginning of the presentation. Senior Walk starts in front of that building and then radiates throughout campus. We have the middle picture there, which is our farmers market, which runs every May through about mid-October. Fresh fruits, vegetables, flowers, plants, entertainment, handicraft items. And then the picture on the far right is of Dixon Street, which is one of the main campus thoroughfares just right off of campus. Lots of restaurants, coffee shops. the store right there on the far left, you can just kind of see a piece of is the Dixon Street bookstore. It's a very wonderful used bookstore. I spent a lot of time there.
It is one of the top 10 used bookstores in the world.
Yep.
And it's quite famous. And they have survived the internet because they do first editions all around the world. It's an amazing bookstore. It's like a tunnel, and you go and there's just
it is. It's a maze. Last slide, please, Leah. I think it's just our contact information. And so that's our contact information. Please, as I have hopefully kind of made clear, we love questions. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us, email, call. I'm also happy to set up individual Zoom sessions because I know sometimes students, it's easier to kind of...
Did I go away again?
Yeah, it did. It's easier sometimes for students to kind of set up a one-on-one meeting to ask their questions. So please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm also going to add my my name and email to the general chat for everyone to see.
Sharing. What is going on here? I'm sorry, I'm coming back.
There is my email. It's not, but I think that's okay. I'm giving them your email in the chat as well, so.
That's very weird. It just keeps doing this by itself.
And so there is Leah's email. So I guess we want to open it up to questions now. If anyone has any questions, Murat, I see. So
there's one question here about cost of living expenses.
Okay.
In general, you're looking at around, depending upon your personal style. Do you go out a lot? Do you buy a lot of things? Do you are you more conservative? That's going to depend on your lifestyle. But I would say on average, for health insurance, food, rent, and personal money per year, you need more or less $13,000 a year at the minimum, 10 to 13. And then if you're a big spender and you like to go out and do a lot of things all the time and you like to shop, you might want to have 13 or 14 or 15,000. But that's kind of a ballpark. And it depends on whether you live in the residence halls versus whether you live in an apartment.
Yeah.
And there was a question about homestay. The intensive English program does have homestay.
Yeah. I knew you would touch on that, Leah. So
yeah. And also the university has something called friendship families. And what those are is people who volunteer to have international students visit their home during the semester. So you make friends with the community. And that's a wonderful way to just get to know us and to get to know our community, is through a friendship family. But in the English program, we do have host families, although I must admit that during the pandemic, our numbers of families has dropped off, partly because everybody's being so careful. But they're starting to come back because they miss having students. So.
Murat, I want to address your question about architecture. So the Fay Jones School of Architecture has one graduate level program at the master's level. It's a Master of Design Studies, and I'm actually going to share that link in your...
They have a master's now?
They do, a Master of Design Studies. Murat, I just shared that with you so you can kind of go in and see if that might be a fit for you. It is a one-year program, so that kind of meets your requirement there. But if you give me your email address, if you share that with me, what I can do is I can connect you to that program coordinator. It is a relatively new program.
Traditionally, the architecture department has been a 5-year undergraduate program.
Right.
And it is considered in the top 10 in the United States. It's an excellent program. But they are now beginning to add like this one-year design program for a master's degree because they've had such demand.
Yeah.
And so that's exciting to know that that new program is there now.
Marak, I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
It's a very demanding program. We will tell you that.
It is. It's a very good question about employment rate for international students. It really depends upon the individual programs and colleges. What I can tell you, first of all, is that the university and your program will do everything it can to put you in contact with potential employers, whether that's through internships, co-op opportunities, career fairs. I've already mentioned, the presence of Walmart and some of the Fortune 500 companies here. So they will do everything they can to connect you with, but if you give me your email address, I can connect you to your specific program of interest, and they would be able to give you a lot more of a definitive answer. So if you share your email address.
In the United States, you are allowed, when you come on a student visa, you are allowed legally, while you are in your program, to work 20 hours a week on the campus.
Yes.
In some rare cases, you can get special permission to work off campus, but for the most part, any international student can work 20 hours a week on campus.
Yeah.
Now, that's not going to be enough money to fund your studies. It will be enough money to buy your groceries. If you finish your degree on a student visa, you can get what's called optional practical training. That means that for 1 year after you graduate, you can work legally full-time in your area, which is why what Carl is saying is so important, because your department will know companies that are looking to hire internationals. And then in some cases, people end up doing so well in those companies, then the company helps you stay longer. But really, that 1 year, you are guaranteed optional practical training as long as it's in your area of study. So right now, in the intensive English program, I have some graduate students who are doing what we call curricular practical training. That means that while they're in the university, they can work for me. And then when they graduate, then they can stay and work for me again later. So those are all things that are kind of legal issues about your status on a student visa. And I will say this, in Turkey, the Ministry of Education has scholarships at the graduate level. So you should contact the ministry, because I've had students studying English in the intensive program from Turkey that are funded by the Turkish Ministry of Education through the embassy.
Unfortunately, I have a meeting that I have to run to. I'm going to let Leah stay on as long as you have questions. But I do want to just stress again, please don't hesitate to reach out with your emails, or to email Leah or I. Marak, thank you for your email address. I will be in touch. Because again, we know you have lots of questions. Thank you, Marat, for yours. I will be in touch. We know there's lots of questions, and an hour is often not enough time to answer the specific detailed questions that you have. But hopefully this gave you, an idea of the opportunities that we have here for students, the resources we have. And so please don't hesitate to email us. Leah and I will be more than happy to help however we can. Again, I'm happy to do Zoom sessions. Just let me know. But I want to thank you. I'm sorry that I have to run. But this is a meeting with the dean, so I must go. But Leah, I know she can stay. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone. I look forward to hearing from you.
Will you call me when you get out of your dean's meeting?
Yes, I will. Absolutely. All right. Thank you, everyone.
If you call my direct line, it'll roll over.
Okay. So. All right. I will.
or call me on Teams.
Okay.
I'd like to answer the question about graduate assistantships and research assistantships. Sometimes you get them from your department in your area of study, but I can tell you about 2 graduate students that I know that when they made their application for their master's degrees at the University of Arkansas, they are getting PhDs. One of them was able to get a teaching assistantship in her department, and the other one wasn't. But she was able to get a graduate assistantship in another department on campus. So you are not limited. The university has a human resources department, and you can go to the human resources department and look and see where offices around the campus are looking for graduate assistants. So sometimes there may only be a limited number of slots in a college in doing teaching assistants or research assistant, but there might be a GA-ship in another department that doesn't care about what your major is. And they fund your education the same way. They still pay your tuition, and they still pay your part of your health insurance and a stipend for living. Okay, I don't see any questions here that haven't been answered. Just know that even if you write to either of us, we will write back to you and do our best to answer your questions. There's a lot to know, but it's not, I always use the expression, it's not rocket science. It's just systematic, and the challenges are that the systems are different. And so what you need to learn is, what are the steps in the system here to be successful with your admission? Okay. Well, I don't see any more questions. Zainab, are there any hands up that I can't see?
Yes, Leah, thank you very much for your answers. I think you covered all of the questions.
Okay. I don't want to miss anybody.
Yes, thank you very much for the great presentation. It was really informative for the attendees.
I'll stop sharing so you can see me.
Yes, it was yet another great session with you. Also, I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Umarım sizin için de faydalı bir webinar olmuştur. University of Arkansas ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için chat kısmında paylaşılmış olan mail adresinden Leah ve Carl'a ulaşabilirsiniz. Bir sonraki webinarlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Yes, thank you very much again, Leah. It was a pleasure.
It was my pleasure. It was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
You know, Zainab, I don't know. The next time I come to Turkey, I'll probably be retired.
Oh,
so this may be the last Carl and Leah show, but Carl will be here.
We would love to see you again.
Sometime in the next year, I will be retiring.
All right.
I'm about to turn 74.
It's time.
Yes, it is. And my husband is 80, so he's really mad at me that I haven't retired yet. All right. Well, thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
All righty.
Have a great rest of the day.
Okay. Bye.